All right, so it looks like we are live. Sorry for that weird beforehand bit. Um, this is Benjamin Krudwig from Benjamin Krudwig Fiber Arts and Design, and this is episode number 28 of the Design Time podcast. Thank you very much for showing up if you are here. If you want, on the YouTube channel, you should be able to see on the right-hand side a live chat option. If you would like to pop in some questions there while you're watching this, feel free, and I will answer them periodically throughout the podcast. So it's been a while since I've done a live chat. Hopefully you can hear me okay. If you can't, please just comment in the chat bar, in the chat function. But today should be a pretty fun podcast. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, but I thought that it would be good for me to say hello. And it does appear, I think I forgot something that's not on my desk, and I'm not sure where I put it. So I'm tempted to just forget about it for this current episode. So again, I am Benjamin Krudwig, and you can find me on Ravelry as Benjamin Krudwig, on the internet as benjaminkrudwig.com, Facebook and Instagram also as Benjamin Krudwig. So basically, you can find me anywhere using my name. I am a knitter and a crocheter and a designer, and I love everything fibery, and this podcast is about yarn, fiber, and design. The only thing that is, well, the difference between me and another podcast per se is that I tend to take more of a design route as opposed to knitting other people's patterns or working on other people's patterns. So let's jump in. A few administrative things as I am here. I want to remind everybody that I am teaching at Interweave Yarn Fest on March 30th. So we are just about a month away. I'm teaching 2 classes there. They're small classes right now, so I don't know if registration is still open, but if it is still open, I have very small class sizes. So please, let's make it a party and hang out. The first course that I'm teaching on March 30th is Design on the Fly, which is a weaving course, and it's basically how to weave with anything in your stash. So you can pull stuff from your stash and create a really awesome project out of it. So that's a 6-hour class in the morning. The second class that I'm teaching in the afternoon is embroidery techniques and joining techniques on the Zoom loom. So using the Zoom loom as an embroidery hoop, as well as learning how to attach your squares together in different manners. So that one's a very small class size. It is in the evening. I think it's between 6 and 9 p.m. So it's a little late, but I'm hoping to make it a really fun time for the students who decide to show up. So that's what's coming up quickly. I am also pleased to announce that I have a new woven collection available over on my website, which it's the Intersections Woven Collection, and it's a collection of 3 different patterns that can be woven on a 15-inch rigid heddle loom. I'm very, very excited that that's up and out and done, and very happy that I collaborated with Sincere Sheep and Jenny the Potter and Shack Spindle Company to create that collection. So I think that's all of the administrative stuff. I would like to start with works in progress. I haven't done much recently that wasn't for work, so it's kind of hard to show some of my works in progress. One that's a future work in progress, like really soon, is using this. It's June Cashmere lace weight yarn. It's 100% Kyrgyzstanian cashmere, and I am going to be crocheting a cowl out of this. So I'm really, really excited. This did come with a pattern. I got this yarn for review, and this is going to be, crocheted into a cowl. I was going to knit the hat pattern that I received with the yarn, but I decided that I'd rather design a cowl that's really cozy, and I have enough hats on the go right now. So I think that I should probably, do something else. So that's very soon to be work in progress. The other thing that I'm working on currently, I actually had to run to the yarn store, not to get the yarn, but to get some needles today. So I am using some hand spun here. And this is actually for an article, so I can't really discuss all of the details behind this. But it is a 3-ply. I did a Navajo 3-ply. The fiber is Targi from Spunky Eclectic Fibers, and this is in the tobacco leaf colorway. I would say it's probably about a DK to a worst weight yarn. Currently in the middle of doing the brim of a hat. And this is basically as far as I'm going to be able to show you. I am designing this hat pattern for an article, so I can't talk a whole lot about it, but what I will say is that if you've never knit with hand spun, definitely either go find somebody who spins yarn and buy some, learn how to spin and knit with it, or if you're already a spinner but you're not using your hand spun at all, please, please knit with hand spun. There's just something so wonderful and squishy and lofty and delightful about hand spun that you don't get with a commercially spun yarn. So this, I will be knitting a second hat, basically identical to this one. It's just a little bit of an experiment. So I'm really having fun knitting on this. Can you see? I don't think my new webcam, for some reason, focuses. But these lovely browny, greeny, yellowy, goldy, bronzy tones are just stunning. I absolutely love them. Yummy! Yummy! I have not worked on my sweater since the last time that you saw me, so that's a hand-spun sweater that I've been working on, or a cardigan. And I've basically not worked on anything else knit or crochet-wise for about 3 weeks. And most of that's just because I've been very busy with article writing, which I can't share with you, and also with some weaving. So, in pre-finished objects, so this is a finished object, but it's not finished yet. I spun some yarn for a blog post and a tutorial over on the Woolery. So if you go to thewoolery.com and look up their most recent, I think it's their most recent blog post on how to effectively use olive gradient yarn. So that's either whether you you spun it or you bought it commercially. I spun the yarn. It was not superwash, it was a merino wool. And I spun it in a thick and thin single after I blended the gradient, which, to get that tutorial, there's a sign-up link for their newsletter. Please check that out. I think it's a really, really great tutorial. I'm very, very pleased with how it came out, and I had a fantastic time working on it. So it was a merino wool that was a single spun thick and thin, and I decided to weave with it. So I wove with it. I did kind of a freeform panel. So I wove on my Cricut loom, which is a 15-inch rigid heddle loom from Shack Spindle Company. And I used a superwash merino cashmere nylon yarn for the weft, and I wove it extremely loosely because I knew that I wanted to felt it. So here is the beginning of the fabric. So you can actually see like the dreads because I felted this in the washing machine and then in the dryer. Well, actually, so not in the washing machine. I wetted it down and I stomped on it in the bathtub for a while, and then I threw it in the dryer to finish the felting process. So you can see the gradient is the warp, and this was my hand spun yarn. What I did here was obviously I spun it all the way through the gradient, and then I warped the loom with 5.5 yards, or 5.2 yards of yarn, so about 16 feet, and just started weaving with my weft yarn. And then I had this crazy idea to create I-cord I have an I-cord maker, a knitted I-cord maker, and I decided to throw that in every now and again. So this is some bright yellow. This is a linen blend, and I believe it's Fibra Natura, and you can get it through Universal Yarns. So I made a whole bunch of the yellow, and I also made some charcoal gray in Anzula Luxury Fibers Haiku, which is a bamboo wool blend, superwash wool and bamboo blend. So those are the first two sections. I just did a couple of shots of that. Well, as I kept weaving, I decided to play with texture and different techniques. So this one, I kind of had it travel up the fabric. This one, I had it weave through and then up and over, weave through, up and over. Here's another one that was just 2 shots or 2 picks. This one is 2 picks and then a knot in the middle, and then 2 picks again. This one is one of my favorites. It's alternating picks of the I-cord and the thin yarn. Then I used the charcoal color, and then I did a similar thing as I did with the gray, way down here, with the loops in yellow. And then this is probably my absolute favorite panel. So I alternated yellow thin, gray thin up here. And then I did the rest with the charcoal gray, alternating charcoal gray with the thin. So can you see like these lovely thick sections of the warp and some thinner sections? It's just, it couldn't have turned out better. So I felted it to create a really thick, dense fabric. This is going to end up being a motorcycle jacket, I think. So like a bomber jacket or a motorcycle jacket, I'm not sure. I believe I'm going to use it as the body, and then I am going to do leather sleeves and probably like a leather cuff and button band and hem. Basically, I'm just really getting into this slow fashion thing. If you look at my website on the blog, I did a talk about weaving fabric for a long Victorian style coat. And what I did there was I used commercially spun yarn from Blue Sky Alpacas. They're extra. It's called Extra. The yarn base is called Extra. It's an alpaca wool blend. And I wove the fiber, lots and lots of yardage of it, and then I used it in a coat pattern that I drafted myself. So I did that one. Last year I wove fabric for a vest and a hat set, and I'm so happy that I've been doing this. So I decided to take this fabric, since I have 5.5 yards of it. Now it's probably, I mean, it's way less than 5 yards. Let's test this out. My guess that it's at most to maybe 3 yards. So that's 2 yards. Yeah, 3 yards. So that's a lot of shrinkage. And it's also very thin now. It's not 15, or it was 10 inches. It's 7.5 at its widest. And then at its thinnest, it's just about 7 inches wide. So I will have to piece some of this together. So the back panel, I'm sure I'm going to have to do 2 sections together. And then the front panel, I'm going to have to do the fronts. I might have to do like a side panel on its own. I don't know. So keep an eye out on my blog. I'm going to start the blogging process probably today about this project. I still need to sketch the design. But I love how this looks. Because it's a single yarn, it helps the felting process because there's more fiber surface area to really just blossom out and catch. But also, it had some over twisting, so it scrunches up. And that is why it's only 3 yards long, after it being 5.2 yards long. You can hardly see the weft in there, which is totally awesome, in my opinion. So I'm thrilled to get this going. I still don't know exactly what my plan is, except for I think I'm going to have I'm going to sew the yellow panel parts together so that the yellow will be running down the back and the front. But we'll find out. Again, being 3 yards long, I really only have enough for the back and front panels. So the sleeves will definitely have to be in another fabric, and then I might have to do side panels, just so it'll fit. So that's coming down the pike. Pike? I'm not sure. I don't know. So that's happening. And then something that I would like to show you, because I received it back. It's a sample that was supposed to be for a publication. It got rejected after I sent it. I can't say that I'm pleased that it got rejected after I sent it, but it is a new piece of art for the home. Which side is... It's this side. So this is a little woven wall hanging that I made on my shacked school loom. And I used a couple of different techniques. So I used traditional weaving techniques right here, and here, and here. And then I did sumac, which is a type of tapestry weaving over here in the dark gray and up here. And then this bright chartreuse green. This was done by single crochet, or not single crocheting, words, oh my gosh. By slip stitching around the warp threads back and forth, and I really, really like that technique. It creates a wonderfully thick fabric. So it now lives in my studio, hanging up. I really like this project. Again, I'm pretty bummed that it got rejected, but who cares? It's fine. So this hangs up in my office now. Pretty pleased. What else? I don't think I'm working on anything else that I can show you. I do have more plans on doing some fashion. So I need to get going on my sketchbooking and such. I really don't... I haven't had time really in the last couple of weeks because our car broke down. And we've ended up having to buy a new car, so it's like I've been busy kind of being an adult. And now it's time to get back into myself and business development and being creative and having fun doing what I love doing. So that's what I've been trying to get back into today, which is part of the reason why I wanted to podcast. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. Before I go, first of all, if you just got here, I mean, this has been kind of a weird podcast, really short podcast, because I haven't been working as much on things. But please, if you want to pop some stuff in the live chat on the sidebar there, please do, and I'll answer some questions. But in the meantime, I would like to show off something that I received in the mail from Knitter's Pride. They're a set of their crochet hooks, the Waves crochet hooks. So first of all, it's bright green, which I am thrilled about in this case. It's a nice hard faux leather case with hard plastic there. And it zips. And then here's where the magic happens. So at first I was like, wow, these sizes are out of order. And then I opened it. How cool is this? So it has all the sizes from a US size C or 2.75 millimeter all the way up to a size J 6 millimeter. I really love how these grips feel. It's kind of like a rubber. And I'll be using these soon in fact, this project. That's why I had this one out. I would really like to do kind of lace. I don't know. I want to do a more masculine project, but it's hard to do that with lace and crochet. So we'll find out. We'll see what happens. But so far, I'm really thrilled with these. I also received another package from them, and I don't know where it is, but it's a tiny fabric needle tip case. Actually, I do know where that is. One moment. Might as well see if I can get the yarn that I'm supposed to review. Oh boy. Nope. I have to organize my space today. So this is the case. This is hand-printed fabric. Again, this is from Knitter's Pride. It's a lovely fabric. And again, it zips or unzips. I've already unzipped it though. It has one side for tips, another side for tips, and then a little pouch for notions. So I received a couple of varieties of tips. So, I have Nova Platinas in a US size 4 or 3.5 millimeter, which is great because I use US size 4 frequently. US size 8 in the 5 millimeter. US size 8. Oh, and those are the cubics, by the way. So this is the Nova Platina cubics. US size 8 in the, I believe this is Dreams, and it's also the cubics. So I don't know if you can see. Let's see if I can do this. It does not show up very well. But these are in a square shape. So if you like felt around, it's a square shape. I've really enjoyed knitting with these so far. I did have to transfer onto new needles because I needed a smaller cord, which is why I went to the yarn store today. I had some US size 8s in the Dreams and circular, or like round needles. Naturals in US size 10. Bamboo in the US size 10, which I really like how warm these feel. And carbons in a US size 10. I love carbons. Carbons were my very first Knitter's Pride needles, and that's what made me fall in love with them. I just couldn't stay away. So those are my acquisitions recently. I'll have more to show you on the next podcast because I do have a few projects coming up that I need to work on. And I'm hoping to have more done on the bomber jacket. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I'm really thrilled, but also a little nervous. So anyways, I'm going to cut it at 25 minutes long. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the podcast. Next one I might not do live. I think I'll do, I don't know, every other podcast live. I'm not sure. Let me know what you think about the live episodes in the comments down below. If you liked this podcast, please subscribe and hit the like button down below. Also, please follow me on Instagram and say hi over on the Facebook group that I have. And I look forward to chatting with you there. Bye.